Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even in my feelings, grind don't stop. Got big dreams, want big rocks. I got plans, you got talk. Heard it's real cheap, but it's really gon' cost. I'm tryna get these ends, building empires with my friends. I'm about handling my business. No time for stress over bullshit. You think success is an option? I'm tryna get this shit poppin' like woo. Big moves, my rules. Y'all heavy on the tweeting. I'll disappear a whole season like woo. Who said they looking for me? I'ma make.
Hey DeMarie TV family, so everything I say is alleged, just in my opinion, and it is for entertainment purposes only. I hope you've all had a wonderful extended weekend, and today we're going to review Ready to Love Season 9 Episode 6, Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed. Now listen, to my shock, they voted out Koshia, y'all. Koshia is gone. Listen, LaRon, no matter what, he could not keep her in there. There were not enough people to support her stand. Will headed out for Koshia. He was not really feeling her. Alonzo was not feeling her. LaRon probably wasn't going as hard as he could have during the voting because they had just had an argument. Now listen, Koshia is one of the most beautiful women that was on the show, but she did have some issues. She would pop off and kind of get into it with people, a little temperamental, so they wasn't feeling it, and they told her she was not ready to love. And so we gonna see what happens with LaRon, because he didn't have another love interest. He was not really, checking for anybody except Maya, who William is heavily into. So if Maya chooses LaRon, then William's out. If William and Maya stay connected, then LaRon is basically out, because I don't see where any other connections are going to be. So we'll see how that goes. So let's talk about the dates this week. The first one is Rashina and Justin. Now for Rashina, again, Rashina says Chaz is her strongest connection. But see, Chaz has relationships with Vanessa. He's been looking and talking to Alexis. He also has somewhat of a relationship with Rashina, but from what I'm seeing, Rashina would be his third choice out of those three. But she says Chaz is her strongest connection, and then she's dating Justin because they had a really good time at the dog park on their last date, and so she's trying to revisit this to see if Justin should be like her number one connection. Justin seems to be feeling her, so we'll see how this goes. Now they taking salsa classes, and Justin said he would rather be eating some salsa, but him and Rashina are taking salsa classes. He did pretty good. I mean, not too bad. He wasn't stepping all on her feet and stuff like that. So after the salsa dancing, they sit down and they had a conversation. And Justin is expressing that he really likes talking to Rashina because she's bubbly, she's down to earth, she's easy for him to open up and talk to, and because of that, he feels like he can be vulnerable with her. I think that is a huge plus. The fact that they're able to just talk and kind of, just express to each other what they're feeling in the moment and just have deep conversations, that's always a plus. No matter what, communication is number one in the relationship. So I think this is a good match. I think this is a better match for Rashina than Chaz is, but we'll see. The only thing that I worry about with Justin is Justin has not had kids, and he says he's resolved with that, with not having kids at this, he's made peace with that, but you never know. That comes and it goes. That yearning to have a child, it comes and it goes in waves throughout life. So Rashina has children, and I don't believe she wants any more, and Justin, if in fact it comes another time that he wants of, that may be a big issue that they have to deal with. But as of right now, he says he's okay with it. So the next day is Chaz and Alexis. Now, Alexis and Chaz haven't had a lot of one-on-one dates, but because now people are starting to get eliminated, the group is getting smaller, they're starting to date and engage with people that maybe they weren't dating and engaging with before. So this is the first time that we're seeing Alexis and Chaz on an individual date. So Chaz is saying he is excited to have a one-on-one with Alexis. He loves how she looks. He loves the hair, how she's dressed. The plus about Alexis is no matter what male she's talking to, she gets along with them extremely well. There's not one person who's dated her that said they were not interested in her. Either they made her they're number one, or they want to find out more about her, which leads me to say, like, why is she here? Like, she seems like such a chill female, like easygoing. You would think like she would have been married a long time ago. I'm trying to figure out what led her here. Why wasn't she able to make these types of connections on her own? Because it seems like she's able to just kind of flow and get along with all the men here. So, but then they start talking about, the eliminations, and she asked him how he felt about Koshia going home. And, Chaz was friendly with Koshia. And so he said they had she had just had a moment where she was crying, and then for her to get kicked out, that was kind of a tough situation for Koshia. And Alexis was like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbled. And then she told Chaz about the interaction with her and Koshia at the lounge when Koshia was saying that she can get it, and so Alexis really don't feel no kind of way about her going home. So Chaz was asking Alexis, is she okay with that? And she was saying, yes, she's fine. But in reality, I think Alexis and Koshia probably saw each other as competition, and that's why you kept getting that friction. I think a lot of the women find Alexis to be competition, and they're starting to notice that the men like her, and so they kind of have a dislike for her because she's competition. So even though you have Koshia gone, you still have some of Koshia's ride or dies, which is Mika. You have Patrice. Those are Koshia's people. And Rashina. They were all cool with Koshia. They don't particularly seem to care very much for Alexis. So we'll see we'll see how that dynamic is now that Koshia's gone. So she's telling Chaz that she, what are your non-negotiables? Both of them say, like, cheating, infidelity, disloyalty are their non-negotiables. They are really looking for, Alexis wants a protector, and Chaz is like, well, listen, I'll be looking out for you and protecting you from now on. She says you can cut the tension with the knife. So this is the first time from Alexis. We've heard about a lot of people being interested in her. This is the first time from Alexis I see her really light up on the date, and you can see the romantic flirting and the banter with the eyes. You can tell that they are truly connecting. So I wonder what this means for Vanessa. Rashina is, she's meeting up with Justin. She's getting better connected with him. Vanessa has no other connection than Chaz. And Alexis seems to have put Chaz at her top, because she even thought they were going to kiss on this date. She was like probably open to it. She said she thought a kiss was coming, and he didn't go in, but she was expecting it, and I'm pretty sure she would have reciprocated. So he should have went in. But this was a really good date, and it changes kind of the whole game, because once you have the Chaz and Alexis shift, it's shifting it's shifting a lot of other people. So at the end of the day, he's like, I'm gonna call you as mine. And she's like, okay, we can do that. And listen, I'm with it. If he calling it and she's accepting, sounds like we have a match. So let's see how this plays out in the lounges when the other girls is talking about how their dates went. So Patrice has a date with Patrice. She calls the date with herself, Alonzo, William, and Vanessa. Now, William and Alonzo are Patrice's top two connections. I don't know why she brought them together, but we'll see what her thought process is. So William makes this comment that he's been trying to reach Vanessa and kind of touch base with her, but she's been ignoring his calls. This fool pulls out his phone. Well, he tells her, I've been reaching out to you, leaving messages, and she kind of rolls her eyes like, what? You ain't called me? And he's like, I know I've been calling you, I've been texting. And she's like, let me see what number you got. He got too many numbers in the phone, so he been dialing and texting the wrong number. He done blew all this opportunity to get to know her because he has the wrong number in his phone. And they meet a lot, so did it never occur to him to check if he had the wrong number prior to this moment? It's kind of crazy, but that's why they haven't had more dates one-on-one. Alonzo has no interest in Vanessa. He's solely interested in Patrice. That's his number one. He says they get along, they make each other laugh. Like, he is happiest when he's with Patrice. That's who he's gunning for. And so as far as he is concerned, William is no competition for him. He said William don't bring what he bring. So I don't know. I don't see Patrice really liking William the way that she does Alonzo, but we'll see. Now, Patrice is just sitting there flirting with her top two choices, and Vanessa is like the fourth wheel. She's just she seems so introverted. Like, she is not just this outgoing personality that'll talk with someone. She's very quiet. She has to be probed. And that's hard in this kind of competition, because the more open people, the more outgoing people who are ready to just have the conversations and engage, they tend to do better on this. It's very hard for her personality type to kind of stand out on these shows, because you gotta be gunning for it. You gotta be open to communicate with people, and she's just not doing that. So William is trying. He pulls her closer to him. He pulls her chair over because she was very distant. So he literally pulls her closer to him just to try to get some form of connection and intimacy from her. Vanessa's very difficult. She's beautiful, but she's a hard nut to crack. So William's he's explaining that he was adopted, and he's telling them that his two children are the only real biological family that he has. And so he tries to spend a lot of time with them. He's been in the military. He's been on 2 deployments. And Patrice understands that she has children. She's a mom. She says she gets it. And so, she appreciates that about William. He also mentions that he goes to the gym a lot. Now, for Vanessa, that's a red flag. I think for any parent with small children, how you going to the gym a lot and you got small kids? Who with the kids? Their mom? And are you really spending all your time with your kids if you got time to be, at the gym all the time? It was a red flag for her, and I get it, because that's just not, I guess there are men who are with their kids all the time and fit the gym in, but for real, when you have little kids, they keep you moving. Like, you have school, you have homework, you have after school activities, you have family time, you have just all these things. You read into them at night. If they're at a certain age, you have, sleep schedules and things like this. So it can work, I guess, but I just don't see a lot of parents in my friend group that have time to be gym nuts. We get, boot camps in on Sunday, and other than that, we're taking kids to the training, coaching, running around with school activities. So I'm just trying to figure out, my thought process will be exactly like Vanessa's. It will be, I need more information to understand what this looks like and how you do that. And every time someone speaks to her, she's trying to fit them into her world, and she cannot find a good fit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what she's doing, because anytime you're trying to date someone and you're single, you got to listen to what they say and say, hey, can this fit in my slot in my life? And she's having a hard time fitting someone into her world. I think she needs to open up and expand a bit, understand that you're not just fitting someone into your world, you're merging 2 worlds together, and so it will look different. And she's very rigid. And so she's going to have to open up a bit and allow space for someone else to join her world and immerse themselves in her world. But she has to immerse herself into theirs too. Essentially, if you get with somebody, your world does not look the same. It has to change. I'm not sure that she's ready for that. So the next date is Mika and Dominique. So Mika and Dominique essentially hit it off on the very first mixer, but Mika does not want kids. Dominique wants 10 kids right off the bat, boom. And so he himself has said several times when they get together and talk, he sees the connection. He can tell that they're interested in each other. He's attracted to her. She's attracted to him. But the kid thing is a huge black cloud sitting over their heads. During this date, the main thing and the main shift that I see is she changes her statement about kids. Before it was, I don't want any more kids. It's a no for me, done. Today, on this date, she says, I've never been in a relationship with someone where they made me feel like I wanted to have a child for him. And that's huge. That is a huge shift, because what she's saying is, we don't know what her experiences were previously, but if you can create a space that she feels safe enough and protected enough to have a child, and in my mind, that would mean we're married, we're financially doing well, I see you supporting me and my children, everything's going good there. That is going to pull down all those walls, take away her fears about having another child, and then she would open up and trust that she'd be safe doing that and would have someone who is going to stay with her and not leave her with the responsibility. That's what I hear from it. I just noticed that it's a big change in her statement, and so I feel like they are really bonding because he's starting to kind of peel back some layers and penetrate her shield a little bit. She's starting to let it down and really open up and discuss why she doesn't want more kids. And it's probably a situation that happened previously with her previous kids' fathers where they didn't show up in a way that she needed them to. So if he's willing to be that stable force, that stability, and be present as a father, she may very well be open and having kids. So this may be a really good match. So the next date is Justin and Maya. And I told y'all Maya should not have twerked on this man in that house at that pajama jam, because his approach to her is way different than it is with Mika and Rashina. He like, Southern Belle, you smell good. He just different. It's not all about getting to know people in communication like he is with Rashina. He owns some other stuff because his first intro to her was the twerk. So I'm like, his head is all discombobulated, and he's on this, it's a different level of flirtation, and kind of, it's different with Maya because of the way she initially engaged with him. And I'm not saying that's hard to overcome, but it's almost like sexual connection first, and then let's back up and see if we got anything else in common, such as communication, talking, what we want out of life, that type of thing. They got to back up now and talk about who they are and what they need, kind of their deal breakers and all that stuff. They got to back it up, because the chemistry, she just bent over and shook her butt in his face, and so he was just like, oh yeah, I gotta go on a date with her. So it's a little ass backwards. They gotta flip it around. So Justin asked Maya who she's connected with, and she said, right now my top connection is William. And he like, no, he got 3 kids. The shade. So Justin has no kids, Maya has no kids. So he's like, listen, I don't have none. So that's just the easier situation, with someone who has 3 kids and I believe 2 other baby mamas. That's a lot to take on. Justin's like, hey, I'm over here, let me shoot my shot, because it would be a lot easier for you to kick it with me than it would be William. So the next day is Will, Jonathan, and Rashina. Now I'm not sure, I don't believe there's any connection amongst any of them. Both Will and Jonathan believe that Alexis is their strongest connection. Will basically says, I don't know, I was surprised when Rashina brought me on today. I don't really know her like that, but Alexis is my strongest connection. And Jonathan believes that Alexis is his strongest connection. They see each other as each other's strongest competition. But now that she's had this date with Chaz, I don't know if either one of them are even a factor, to be perfectly honest. So they're on this date, they're making body butter. It's supposed to be intentional. They're having to kind of talk about the scents they like, and then they make the body butter. I think this is a cool little date. I like making lipstick and making body butters. I like these type of dates. But Jonathan doesn't seem like he's interested at all. So they are talking about non-negotiables. Tommy wants the women to find out what are the men's non-negotiables, and Will says he needs somebody who is, they believe in God, and he says, it's not like they can't make mistakes. He said y'all know he like his Hennessy, but they have to put God first. And Jonathan didn't have anything to say. Jonathan could not come up with anything to say. He goes to his confessional shot talking about he's a very private guy. He doesn't really know Rashina. And something's up with him. Something is not, something in the milk ain't clean. Something's off with him. Rashina says that her main non-negotiables is faithful. You got to be faithful. She's not interested in anyone who is, committed to the relationship. She doesn't want to be involved with people who are dating other people. When this show first started, I think it was Mika and she picked up on the fact that she felt like he had unresolved issues with his baby's mother. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but there's something going on with him because he always clamps up. It's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm not going to say anything. And it's very hard to start a relationship when you're trying to hide who you are. I don't think he's ready for love at all. So his non-negotiable was he don't like a woman who smokes. Like, for real? Like, that's all you got? It was crazy. So shortly after that, the conversation made him so uncomfortable, he said he had to get going, and he essentially just got up and left. So there is no love connection being made on this date between Will or Jonathan. So they get to the lounge and they're discussing the dates from this week, and everybody's kind of recapping what happened on their dates. So Tommy gets to the point where he's asking who are some of the men that you're not connecting with. So William comes up, Will comes up, and Jonathan. And of course, like I said, with so many people being attracted to Alexis, when you get to the lounge, it's a little tense for her. So Patrice brought up the fact that Will confronted her about her saying he slept on the floor. Alexis says Will did his own deductive reasoning, which is in fact true. Alexis never said Patrice said it. She just said, one of the ladies mentioned this. He went around and asked each of the ladies at the pajama party, as he was asking them questions about someone saying he slept on the floor, and Patrice reacted to that and said, that's what you told me. That's how he figured it out. Alexis didn't say that, but Patrice, Mika, and Rashina are all like coming at Alexis saying, you're telling people what we say in the lounge, and that's not what's happening. There's two things happening at the same time. They're jealous of her because she has such a connection with so many other men, and they have a point that she's given too much information about what's being said in the lounge away. She has to figure out how to talk to the men, but not break the trust of the women when they're in the lounge. She can't keep giving away information that leads back to people and what they said in the lounge. That's not what the lounge is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a safe space for the women to talk about who they like, for what reasons, why or why not. So Tommy pulls out this baseball and he says he has a curveball. Not one, but two men are going home tonight. So the women have to deliberate, and tonight there's going to be 2 dates, and not one, but 2 of the men are going home. So Vanessa takes out Will, and Will kind of knows because he don't have no connection with Vanessa, right? So, and Vanessa's very sweet and she's kind, and she, is talking to Will about his connections and how he feel he's doing, with the experiment. So Jonathan is going out with Alexis, and so she is going to speak with Jonathan about whether he gets to go or stay. And the third date is William and Maya. So we have Maya, we have Alexis, and we have Vanessa. And 2 of them are going to break some difficult news and send 2 of the fellas home. Now, what I'm shocked about is William says, Maya gives me a call and she invites us out on our first date. If that's her top connection, why have they not went on a date before? That's just odd to me. So this is not only their first date, but this is also a date where she's going to have to let him know he's in the bottom 3. So Jonathan says he's happy to have the date with Alexis, but after the pajama party, he kind of knows where this might be going, but he's still happy to have a date with her. Alexis lets him know it's water under the bridge for her. She accepts his apology, but then she tells him the ladies and her, they had a meeting and they had to deliberate, and the ladies, had a certain feeling about him and the connections that he'd been making. So for Will, the ladies feel like, Vanessa's telling him, the ladies feel like he's chatty, and essentially they call him messy. Like he starts a lot of stuff, and they don't like that. And so she's letting him know that that's the reason that they're on the date tonight, that he's at risk of going home because of that. So Will's response to that is Alexis is his top connection, and she's going to protect whoever she's rocking with, which he feels is him. And he said for the other women, he don't really have much to say. He keep to himself and he don't really have nothing to say to them. Well, that's not how you play this game. You need to date everybody and build relationships with everyone if you want to stay on the show. So shutting out other people and focusing solely on one person does not work well on this particular show, because the women have to vote and keep you in based on their interactions with you, and if they find you to be someone that they could have a connection with. So Maya's telling Will, we had a lounge this week, and he's like, oh, it's time for you to break up with me now. And she just laughs, and she was like, a lot of the women just feel like they just get friend vibes from you. So, but essentially he says with Vanessa, he had the wrong number and he did think she was a possible connection, but really his connection is Maya, and it's very hard for him to focus on dating several people. So essentially everyone has their dates, and Will and Jonathan are not ready to love. They go home. William gets to stay. This is going to change this game a lot, because now Alexis, her number one, is probably going to be Chaz, who is several other people's number one. And Jonathan and Will had it in their mind that she was their number one. Well, now that they're out the game, she can solely focus on Chaz. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes next week. I want to see if Maya and Will get closer. I want to see what happens with Dominique and Mika. I'm not sure which way Rashina's going to go. Is she still going to focus on Chaz, or is she going to focus on Justin? And how does Justin impact William and Maya? Maya may like Justin, and that could throw a monkey wrench in the Williams situation. And in the event that that happens, does he go back and pick up Vanessa? So it's a lot of moving parts here. I don't know. I'm excited to see how it goes. I really loved this episode. I think they're weeding out the right people. I think this episode and this season is really good, because they're starting to get down and get the bad stuff out, and you can see the couples emerging. If they do this right, we could possibly get more couples out of this ready to love than we've seen in a really long time. So y'all tell me what y'all think. Who's your favorite couple? Who do you think is going to make it to the end? And drop me some comments and let me know what y'all think about the episode. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you're made aware every time I drop a new video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even if my feelings grind don't stop. Got big dreams.